My name is TJ Lamb and I am the founder and CEO of Magnacars. A lot of people ask me, how did I get into cars? Well, it all starts back when I was born. My first ever word was car. That's all I've known all my life. Cars, cars, cars. There's probably not been an hour that I've gone by without thinking about cars. Growing up, I lived in England. My parents used to take me to all kinds of classic car shows around the country because I was obsessed with American muscle cars and Cadillacs and pickup trucks. As I started going to these shows, I always wanted to buy one of these cars one day. In fact, I wanted to have a massive collection of over 100 vehicles. I wanted to have everything. I couldn't decide which car was my favorite. So in order to do that, I realized with my mum, I had to start a business. I couldn't just buy all these cars doing nothing. So with that in mind, my mum and I decided to start a business where we would sell little Hot Wheels like this, and they'd have magnets on the back so you could stick it to your fridge. That's how we got the name Magnacars. It went on for a few years. I sold a couple $1,000s worth at different car shows around England that I used to attend. But after a while, I kind of grew up and I wasn't that little 8-year-old boy anymore. I wanted to walk around and take videos and pictures of the cars with the camera that my dad gave me because he used to be a wedding photographer, so he had some lying around and he let me have one of his cameras. I used to walk around and just take pictures of all the different cars at the show. The ones I liked, try and get the angles down on the grass, on the floor, up in the air. Then I would go home, wait for the next show, and go to the next show and take more pictures and amass thousands and thousands of photographs of cars. However, after a few years of this, I kind of realized, I'm not going to make much money being a photographer. And around this time, I went into London, where I happened to see an Aventador drive past me with the V12 engine right when it came out. This is 2012, and it changed my life. All of a sudden, I wanted to know about these Lamborghinis and Ferraris, which I'd never cared about before. So I went home and I hopped on YouTube, and I found a YouTuber by the name of Shmee150. Now, this guy was a vlogger, up and coming at the time. He had an Aston Martin V8 Vantage he just got, and he was vlogging all of the different supercars he was finding around London. I was obsessed with this guy. I watched every single video that he uploaded every day, and I would even watch some videos multiple times because I was so obsessed. I then found other YouTubers like Supercars of London, Seen Through Glass, Mr. JWW, and many, many more. These YouTubers, especially Shmee, showed me that you could buy these supercars and get money from making videos, which would then help you to upgrade your car to an Audi A4 like he did as I was watching him. When he got the McLaren, I was like mind blown. I was like, this is a career. You can actually do this. And it was at that moment I realized I kind of want to be a YouTuber. So I got this little Sony camera and I would walk around London and try and film the supercars that I got to see. It didn't go that well and I barely uploaded any videos, but I did create my YouTube channel. In 2014, I moved to America, which was just after I got all into supercars. And in America, I moved to Kansas City. So there wasn't much to see, much to photograph there, but I did try my best to get into the scene. And I did. There were a few Ferraris, but mostly it was muscle cars. I still went to every show I could, photographed every car I could, and met everyone I could. After a few years of living in America, I ended up going to visit my family in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And around this time it was my 13th birthday, so my dad decided he was going to take me to Monterey Car Week. I'd always wanted to go. And in preparation for this, I started an Instagram account. I named it Car Week 2016, where basically I pretended to be the official Car Week account where I'd post the cars that were coming in for Car Week that year. That's how I got a lot of people to follow me. I got about 500 within the first week. And I was like, this is cool. And that was it. The account was dead because Car Week was over. So I just let the account sit for a while. I didn't know what to do with it. I really, really enjoyed taking pictures, but I realized I'm not going to be able to afford to buy a Ferrari by taking pictures. Who's going to pay me? There's so many better photographers out there. What am I going to do? Then I decided, you know what? Since I've got no cars to take pictures of in Kansas City, why don't I just post other people's pictures? They're getting a lot of likes. I named it Cars Worldwide 24/7. Now this is what I put so much effort into over the next 4 years. I posted 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. While I was at school, go out to the restrooms where we had better reception and signal. Every single day of the week, I would get my posts up. And I did this for years and years and years with almost no return, no profit. In total, I made about $2,000. August 2019, I went and I watched the movie Rocket Man with my uncle, where I saw Elton John pull up in an old RollsRoyce, and I thought, man, that's a cool car. That would be pretty cool to own one day. Few months later, my parents' Volvo XC90, the transmission, had gone on it. So I thought, we need a family car. These Rolls-Royces are very cheap. They've got 5 seats. Why don't we just buy one of these Rolls-Royces and fix it up and try and drive that every day as your only mode of transport for your family? And then I'll pay my parents off. Once I pay them off, they can buy a modern, boring, whatever SUV minivan. Great idea, right? I don't know how it happened. We found this Rolls-Royce in California. Actually, my mum found this Rolls-Royce in California, and I prayed every single day for a month, please, 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 can my parents buy this car? Miraculously, I don't know how, but they bought this 1971 Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow that was $6,500, broken, could not drive, and needed a lot of work. We had the car transported to Kansas City for $1,200, and when it got off the truck, it couldn't even drive a mile until it broke down. We immediately took it to the workshop the next day and started the process of getting it running in driving condition. Now, while it was in the shop, we got it fixed. Picked the car up, drove it home, didn't even make it to the gas station, broke again. And we repeated this cycle of the car constantly breaking within a day or 2 or 3 days of picking up from the shop every single time for 2 months. Eventually, I drove it to school one day, and on the way back, the car overheated quite badly. It damaged the head gasket, and we think it even got water into one of the cylinders. So I parked it in the garage because this was a $10,000 job from our shop. No one was interested in buying this car for the price my parents wanted because they wanted to get out of it for what they put into it. Obviously, I knew that wasn't going to happen. I was in debt to them, $350 I had to pay them every month. Also in America, I was under my parents' investment visa, which meant that I wasn't actually allowed to get a job in America. So I kept the car. And then in 2020, about March, TikTok was blowing up. COVID happened, I was locked in my house, and I was like, well, I'm gonna get on TikTok. So I did. My Instagram account's pretty much dead. What have I got to lose? And I named it Magnacars. Then I started posting clips of the RollsRoyce, and I started realizing, oh, people actually like this car. They kind of want to see these videos. Then they announced the Creator Fund, and the Creator Fund was where they basically pay you a few dollars based on the views you get. If you got a lot of money, then you had to have got millions and millions of views. I was getting maybe a couple thousand views a video. Not that many compared to what you need to make a living off. Around October time, I saw an influencer named Daniel Mack, and he was doing what do you do for a living videos, where you just go up to people and ask them, what do they do to afford their Ferrari? I thought that's a brilliant idea, so I decided, let me take inspiration and ask the kids at my high school, how do you get this car in high school? First time I ever asked a kid, I went up to him after school and I said, hey man, how do you get this car at high school? I did it to a few of my friends. They thought it was a joke. It was funny, whatever. I posted it on TikTok, gets 1.6 million views in the first week. And I thought, oh my goodness, if I can get on the TikTok Creator Fund and I can get paid for this video, I might be able to make just enough money to cover my monthly payments on the Rolls-Royce. So I did. I made video after video after video. I pumped out multiple every week, going around to all the different high schools in my area, filming everything I could. Kids started messaging me, hey, come to my high school. I've got a BMW, I've got an Audi, I've got a Mustang. So I started traveling all over the city to try and film kids at random high schools. This went on for over a year where I would just ask kids, how do you get into high school? And it started blowing up my TikTok account. Well, I might as well post some of my TikToks on my Instagram. First one I posted got 30,000 views. People actually liked it. For the first time in a year, I wasn't losing followers on my account. However, the Rolls-Royce was still broken. I was able to cover enough to pay my parents every month for the vehicle, but I needed another car, and I couldn't afford one based off of the money TikTok was paying me was around $300 to $500 a month. My grandparents saved the day. They said, we'll give you a loan for $5,300 so that you can buy another car and pay your parents back for the Rolls-Royce, and then you pay us the $5,600 back. Guess what I found? A 1993 F-150 that I bought for $3,750. It had 73,000 original miles. It was owned by an old man who barely drove it. It kept it in his garage after he died, and I bought it 10 years after they just pulled it out. It needed a new fuel tank, quite a few other things, but I bought it, spent $1,200 fixing it, and drove it around for a few months. However, pretty quickly I realized it wasn't my kind of vehicle. You know, it looked cool, but it just was slow, and the gas mileage was not great, and it just wasn't my style. So I ended up selling the vehicle. I listed it, and a guy named Oliver Francis bought it. He turned out to be a pretty big music artist on Spotify. Sold it to him for $7,200, and then I found a Porsche 944 for sale for $8,200, but I couldn't quite afford it, so I kind of put it off for about a month. Then I graduated high school, and at my graduation party, in America, I guess it's tradition that people give you money. So a bunch of people came to my party, ended up being $1,000. Then I had enough to buy this 944. So I ended up buying this burgundy 944 as my first ever manual sports car. I couldn't believe it. I was 17 and I had a Porsche. What? That's just insane. I got this car and had the best summer ever with my friends. We all cruised around, went to every car show. It was the best time. However, the 944 broke quite a lot. In fact, it cost me $3,500 in 6 months. In fact, at one point the car broke and I couldn't afford to fix it, so it just sat at my mechanic shop for 2 months. However, when I went to pick the car up, I noticed he had a black Audi sitting there, and I thought, well, I want a black Audi. I prayed every day for 2 months. Please, can I get this Audi? I do not want to keep this Porsche. I can't afford the maintenance. He ended up trading me the Audi literally right before Christmas, like 2 days before. He said, yes, I'll trade you the Audi. So I got the A4. It was a manual, blacked out. I loved this thing. It was my baby. At this point, I had graduated high school 7 months before. I didn't want to just keep going to high schools when I was 18. So I started asking people at car dealerships, what do you drive to work? I started asking people at gas stations and car shows, what was your first car? What was your dream car? All kinds of questions. Then I met this guy and he said, well, if you want to show companies that you can produce content and ads for them, you should do a real life event to show that you have real fans. This was a Wednesday night. Saturday, I hosted my first ever car meet in a Target parking lot, and over 200 people brought their cars to the show. We had about 400 cars, 200 people, and I could not believe it. It was a dream come true to have real people coming to a real event that I was hosting. It wasn't just an internet thing anymore. This was real. 2 weeks later, I decided to host another event thanks to my friend at Casey Trends, where we put on a massive show, the biggest in the city. 1,600 people came and over 600 vehicles came. I could not believe it. We had SVJs, we had Ferraris, and no other show in Kansas City would you ever see more than maybe 1,458. We had 12 SF90s, F12s, and I just remember thinking this is the best thing ever. I knew my time in America was running out though, because my visa was expiring as I was gonna turn 19. I had to leave the country. However, a week or two before I left, I found a Lexus LS 400 for sale, knocked on the door, and they sold it to me for $1,000. I bought this car, drove it around, loved this thing, and then sold it 30 days later for $4,000. So I made a good profit. I also sold my Audi for $10,000 at this point. I'd lost money on it, but anyways, I needed to cash out because I couldn't bring the cars with me. That's where I'm at now. I'm in Calgary, Alberta, and I'm living with my cousins, where I'm filming YouTube content with all of the friends I meet here into cars, just doing fun things, trying to share and spread the love and kindness to every single person in the community, no matter what they drive, no matter who they are, no matter their background or anything, just having a good time with them. Yesterday, I also crashed my aunt's car. Well, I didn't quite crash it, but I got an fender bender. So I'm going to be starting from $0, just like any kid, and my goal is to share the journey of going from $0 right now that I have to hopefully, who knows where I'll be in 5 years, 10 years time, and bring everyone along to have fun on the journey. Thank you guys so much for watching and supporting, and I really hope that we just get to enjoy this together and see where this goes.